Please note, you must wear your face mask at all times whilst at Dubai Opera, including during the performance, ensuring that your nose and mouth are covered. You will be asked to leave if you are not wearing your face mask correctly. يرجى العلم أنه يجب ارتداء قناع الوجه طوال الوقت أثناء تواجدكم في دبي أوبرا، بما في ذلك فترة العرض، والتأكد من تغطية الفم والأنف. سوف يطلب منكم الخروج في حال عدم ارتداء القناع بالشكل الصحيح.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're all refreshed and ready for, I hope, well, what promises to be a fantastic panel. We have got some great guests joining us on stage now. So basically, first out to join me, and I'm sure many of you in here are among his 5.3 million, I mean, goodness me, 5.3 million Instagram followers. He is the world's freestyle football champion and someone who absolutely loves to push boundaries and just rises to any challenge. Can you please welcome Sean Garnier?
Hello.
Sean.
Hello, everybody.
Sean, where's your football?
My football.
Your football?
Oh, send me the ball.
Hey.
Do you want to see something? I'm not sure. Do you want to see something? Okay. Show me some music.
Wait a minute, we got some music.
Yeah, maybe. Okay. Ready? Yes.
Pack it up, pack it in, let me begin. I came to win, battle me, that's a sin. I won't ever slack up.
And it's all downhill from here. Only joking. Thank you for joining us. I don't know how to follow that.
That's simple, just training, you know. I'm sure you can do something. Look.
No, not in these heels.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
in these heels.
Look, look, look.
Oh gosh.
Give me your hand.
Oh.
Look at that. Amazing, make some noise.
Okay, well, joining us, Sean, and to quote his own words, our next panel member has said that he loves to invest his time into people and his money into marketing. I love to take risks and enjoy helping increase the wealth of the people around me. Please welcome, I think, our most mischievous panel member today, Lewis Alsop, CEO of Real Estate Brokers, Alsop and Alsop.
Thank you. 12,500 followers. He comes on with 5.3 million.
I'm sure he's going to follow you anyway tonight, Lewis. Now, you're the customer-focused property service you founded in Dubai in 2008?
Correct, yes.
So you've been around a bit.
Very old now. Knees are old.
I hope we're going to get some insights from you in just a moment. But our next panelist is fresh off the plane. I mean, goodness me, this lineup. Fresh off the plane from climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. Putting you both to shame here. It's Husni Al-Bayari, CEO and founder of DMB Dubai. This is the award-winning real estate company in the Dubai off-plan market.
Yes,
Oh, you've done it as well?
Did it 10 years ago. No
But
one talked about it.
Husni, are your legs not aching? Your legs not aching? Are your legs aching?
No, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Take it in your stride. When did you get back?
I got back 2 days ago.
Whoa.
Straight from the plane to the gym, so we're okay.
Show off.
Showing off.
Exactly. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, we have Basma Ashri, General Manager of Business Incorporation Zone. She's one of the youngest entrepreneurs in the UAE that's heading one of the leading business setup companies in the UAE. She's also a very fierce advocate for young women in business. So please put your hands together.
Hi, guys.
Hello, hello.
Nice meeting you. Hi.
Hello again.
Hi.
Nice to see you.
Nice to meet you again.
And nice to have a female on the panel.
Yes, right?
Exactly.
Girl power.
And finally, last but by no means least, please put your hands together again to welcome back to the stage, Steven Bartlett. Great to have you all here. Now, I wanted to start kicking things off with you, Sean. And I'd like to know, in terms of content creation, how do you remain true to your own brand while appealing to others around the world?
So basically, when I start, I understand you can play with the ball outside of the football pitch. So the first place of expression I got was the streets. Every day I was going to the street, and my main goal was to attract everybody to be able to connect with them. So every time I could connect with 100 people, 200 people, under the Eiffel Tower of Paris. But when social media came, I just post one show of this day, and I can reach millions of people. So after the game was to understand how I can use the tool of social media to touch more people and to spread the word about what I do and build my brand, basically.
Social media's changed, and I think this was a question that someone wants to put to Steven.
Yeah. Actually, as you know, you started in 2013, right? On that time, it was more open to, let's say, free campaigns, unpaid ads. But currently, it's very difficult for a startup to boost themselves and show themselves on social media without even paying going for paid ads. So how a new startup can build their entire social media platform without going for the paid campaigns and these kind of things?
So I can approach this question from a number of different perspectives. I'll approach it from the first thing that came to mind first, which is how to use influencers.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I thought you were saying at the start when you said that it used to be very cheap and you could get free ads.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because we ended up doing the marketing for Amazon, Uber, Coca-Cola around the world. And in the early years, influencer marketing worked and it was cheap and everybody understood it.
Yeah.
Brands like Gymshark blew up off the back of influencer marketing, and a lot of brands did. And then as it became more and solved the problem again. The reason why influencer marketing works is because authority is one of the principles of influence. So Lionel Messi telling you that this football boot is good, or a doctor telling you that these pills are good, or a marketing CEO telling you this marketing thing is good works. So authority, reach was the other thing. These people had huge reach. And because we now know that those people are being paid to tell us these things, the authority piece no longer works in the same way. So it's really just about reach. So when I sat down with the CEO of one of the biggest direct-to-consumer brands that you'll all know that does influencer marketing in 2018, he said to 2019, he said to me, Steve, I pay 700 influencers a month, and this is how our business became a billion-dollar company, and I don't believe anymore that if I turned off all of the influencers, it would have any impact on my business. And we looked at what they were doing, their fashion business. They were doing what everyone else does. Pay Jenny to put a dress on and tell her followers using a static image she likes it. So why don't we try doing the exact opposite of that? Why don't we ban all of them from using static imagery? Because we know video provides more depth.
Yeah.
So we'll say that they've all got to use video. Why don't we let them be impartial? Say when they don't like a product. Again, this builds back trust on that piece about authority. So we're going to send influencers products. They can't post an image. They can criticize it. And lastly, to get emotion into the content they create, let's create an emotional narrative. So Jenny makes a video saying, the outfit I'm going to dump my boyfriend in, right? And she takes out the 10 items the brand has sent her. She says, I don't like this one. It looks nothing like the one online. Again, we're building back trust. She says, I hate this one. But she goes, I absolutely love these 3 pieces. Their return on influencer marketing went up 300%. It worked again because convention had led everybody down the same path. Every brand did the same thing. Jenny was doing all the competitive brands literally in the same day sometimes, saying she loved them all. And it requires just original thinking. My podcast is another example. On Monday this week, you know that my sponsor is Huel. Huel messaged me when the podcast came out and said it was their #1 day of sales ever. podcasting is the antithesis of influencer marketing. It's depth. The people that listen to this listen for 2 hours every Monday. They know me. So when I tell them about a product, Huel have never told me what to say ever. They've never told me how long to say it, what to say. I can authentically communicate the brand to my audience in a way that I think they trust. It's about reasoning from first principles. Influencer marketing still works, but it doesn't if you're going to be lazy.
Yeah.
You talk about growth, but also how do you ensure quality with that growth?
Growth of your channels?
Of your brand, your channel, if you're trying to grow something, how do you ensure that you stay true to the quality of that?
Yeah, you've got to have principles. In the short term, it's very tempting to compromise your principles because there's financial rewards. So for example, you could have paid me, you could have made me an offer to come out here and talk about, I don't know, something outside of my values. And you could have given me a really big fee. But in the short term, okay, I'll make a big fee. But in the long term, I'm compromising my values, which will hurt me. So you've got to be principled in business with when it comes to brand building. And yeah, I've seen that again with brands like Gymshark. Ben is very, very, very principled. Huel are the same. They stayed out of retail, despite the fact every supermarket wanted to stock them, because they were very, very principled about being a direct-to-consumer company and controlling their narrative, and it paid off. They're now the fastest-growing direct-to-consumer business, fastest-growing e-commerce business internationally.
Lewis, I'm going to bring you in here. How can you be yourself and stand out in a saturated market?
I think that is an incredible question. I've watched this, and I've done this in my own business. So when I started Allsop and Allsop with me and my brother, and we started with me and him in an office that was too big for just the two of us, and we've grew it today to 400 people with the #1 estate agency in the UAE, and done all these amazing things. And one thing I've learned from the start today to where we are today is that when I started the business, I wanted to be and pretend to be someone that I wasn't. I spoke differently, I acted like the CEO, and I pretended that I was this guy. And what I realized is that as I got further into my journey in the business, who is Lewis Allsop? Yeah, he's a CEO. He's driven. He wants to make money. He wants to make other people money. But what am I outside of work? I play FIFA. I play Football Manager. I love football. I support Coventry City. I sponsor Coventry City for 6 years, not because of business, because of my love.
You're going to take on Sean in a bit, aren't you?
No chance. I've seen his videos. But people will now listen to what I say, because I'm not trying to be Steven. I'm not trying to be Sean. I'm Lewis Allsop. And what I've realized, we do talk about podcasts and the content and the genuinity of it is that people listen to my content I put out there because they're interested in me. And I'm not generic, and I think that's the message to anybody that's trying to put content out or marketing. Be who you are. If I'm standing on stage saying I'm a 35-year-old guy that plays FIFA but runs a business day to day, you know that anyone else can do it, but there's that fear of being put in this box and being judged as, oh, this guy can't do that. So yeah, you have to be yourself.
You've got quite an interesting journey. You mentioned there that you arrived here with your brother and set this up, but
Yes.
there was someone else who was pivotal. Now tell me about Wendy. Who is Wendy and what did she do?
Wendy, Spencer loves this one. He absolutely loves it. So when I first moved to Dubai, you always need the helping hand. I come to Dubai with £300 in my pocket, and a bit loud there. And I come with £300 in my pocket, and I had this dream to be the #1 person in Dubai and make money and become the millionaire like everyone does. And I got to a stage when I come to Dubai, and everyone will go through this in business where you go through the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I moved here, and I moved to a company that told me they had an office in the Grosvenor House Hotel. They told me they're the biggest agency in Dubai. And I landed, bearing in mind, £300, 19 years old. And I got to the Grosvenor.
Straight into Barasti, I heard.
No, not at the time. Next day. And when I got to the hotel, they said to me, okay, just to let you know, we haven't got an office. Pretend that you work here. I thought, what? What do you mean, pretend I work here? I've just flew from Dubai. Anyway, after about a week of being in the country, Wendy said to me, Lewis, you're running out of money. I'm going to put my credit card down for you. We're going to get your car sorted. We're going to get you into a new job, and put me into her business where she was an estate agent, and it saved my life. So having that guardian angel around at some point was the best thing that happened to me in Dubai.
Do you still see her?
100%. She knows she's my #1 girl in Dubai. She's a legend. Except for my wife, obviously. Except for my wife. Love you, Georgia.
Saved just at the end. Well, someone else who's got a fantastic story is Husni. Now, you are a born and bred Dubai success story.
Yes, that was
You
it.
were working at Emaar and you left the job with just one member of staff. You now have 118. What motivated you to make the change from being an employee to a business owner?
I didn't actually leave. I was fired.
Why?
I failed as a corporate person. I wasn't really a person that would take orders from people and be told what to do, when to come in, how to go out, and the same thing you were talking about earlier. So, and Emaar is a multinational big brand, and they've got policies and corporate. It's a proper corporation, and you can't just do what you want to do there. So I always had clashes with everyone around me, including management, all of that. And at a certain point in time, I got so much of a headache for them. But I was doing big numbers, so they couldn't lay me off. So they came up to me one day and they're like, listen, Husni, we don't want you on the team. I was like, what's that supposed to mean? It's like, you either go back to Hamptons, which is the brokerage firm that Emaar owned, or you go back into customer care. I was like, if I go back to customer care, I might as well just hang myself right now and not do that, you know? That's not who I am. It was a bit of a riot, a clash, and then I went back to management. I was like, listen, I know what added value I can bring to your company from the outside. And a very important thing that we learn in Dubai, because Dubai is a very small city, is you don't burn bridges.
No.
So we went back to the management. I personally went back to the management, and I was like, listen, I know what I can do for you guys from the outside. I don't want you telling me when to come in, what to do. I'll do it on my own, but I'll still be adding value to you guys. I took their blessing on that, went straight from that office, ripped off the Hamptons offer letter that they gave me, went to the land department, the Ministry of, I got my license and everything. Within the next week, I was up and running.
What was the biggest lesson from that journey?
I've learned from that to really not think too much about the future and just let the universe come in and lead the way. And you just need to be able to be there and embrace it and move with it. So I've lived in Dubai all my life, and when you're in Dubai, you look around and everyone's got flashy cars and fancy houses and all of that. And I don't come from it was a difficult upbringing. So you always wanted to do that, and you always wanted to reach that level. And I think we thought too much about how to do it. And if you have the right attitude, the right mindset, and you just let yourself loose and just take it as it comes and not say no to anything, it just opens up for you. And as long as you have the right attitude and the right mindset, it'll work out.
Basma, how would you say that businesses can diversify and target a global audience when we're talking about millions of people from such different and varied backgrounds?
Actually, it's like the answer to that is because of the hundreds of nationalities that we are living between. So I think it's very difficult especially for the startups. Like this question is coming to me every single day for my clients when they're asking me, okay, Basma, I want to start the business, but I don't know from where I will start. I want to sell cake, but as an example, you have a big sharks in the market. How can I make my brand that shine and all? But the most difficult and the most fear that it will come to someone is if you are hesitant to start a business or to at least leave about what exactly the difficulties or how will you be able to market yourself or anything. You just have to know the basics, which is what you are going to sell, who are your target audience, and how will you be unique on that. Rest, everything gonna be fine. Everything gonna be sell itself. So you don't have to think much actually on that. Especially this is something which is, you can take it as an advantage of a huge market. It is more even opportunity for everyone to grow. It is not something like you need to be scared of. So I think we are blessed that we are in Dubai so that you don't think much about what exactly will be your next customer.
Sean, do you agree with those pillars that Basma mentioned there? How did you make your brand shine?
Yeah, basically it's trying. You have to try something first and see the reaction. For me, it was more visual because I'm first an athlete, turned out as an artist, turned out as a CEO of a company for street football and street arts. So basically, at the beginning, I was just a football player. So I didn't know anything about business, to be honest. The first try I did was to take my ball, go on the street, perform in front of someone. Then someone is actually organized a birthday party. And he asked me, oh, do you want to perform for my kids? I'm going to pay you 100 euros, for example. Then I learned how to negotiate with him, and after how to invoice him. And basically like that, by trying just doing the show in front of the audience, I can get the response. The response will make me doing something else. So it's basically whatever you're going to do, you have to try and see what is the reaction. And for sure, by failing, you're going to learn. So for me, if we're talking about social media, it was like that at the beginning. I just drop videos and I see how people react about this video. Some people love it, some people don't like it, and just play with this motion. After you see also how the platform reacts. So some video you're going to post online, maybe nobody will watch it. And you should not like take the fault on you. You should just analyze why people don't like this video. Maybe the way you start is boring. Maybe the way you act is not authentic. So it's all these elements. When you try, you see the response, and it's the best way to learn and to do anything.
That's what fascinates me a bit about your work, Steven, that I don't think people realize the amount of analysis and research that you do alongside all of your businesses.
Yeah, and I really love that answer from Sean, because I think one of the strongest predictors of someone's success in pretty much anything they do professionally is how many experiments they take, and so the really interesting thing that I learned from working with lots of different organizations on their marketing was you got to see their culture of experimentation. You might bring them an idea and say, Facebook have released a live streaming today, we should do a live stream today. And one organization might take 12 months. And in fact, there's this family business, which I think of, because it's owned by the family, and they have 3 brands underneath it, and they have a different sibling in the family running each business. And I could see the reason why one of the siblings, one of the son's businesses is now worth, I think, 700 million, is because he would experiment very, very quickly. The other sibling, if you took him the same idea, it would take 9 months of them trying to figure out whether it was a good idea or not. The truth is, in business, you can find out the answer very quick if you do the experiment and you get a yes or no. And Barack Obama, I did this talk in Brazil where he was on stage before me, and he talked about his thesis as it comes to making these big decisions, like taking out Osama bin Laden. And he said, I get to 51% certainty, then I make the decision. And I'm at peace that I made the decision with the best I could with all the information I had. What tends to happen with people is they procrastinate so much trying to get to 100% certainty on a decision, and they'll never get there. So what you can do is you can make it at 51%, get the feedback, then make another one based on the feedback, or you can wait 12 months, sometimes the opportunity passes, which is what I see in social media, then when you finally do it, you're late and you're too cautious. The winners that I see, whether it's in podcasting, which is like one of the things that I do, or business, are those that have that culture of experimentation, fast decision making. And it's the same with my team, and some of my podcast team backstage, the producer is. We have this like obsessive culture of like, how can we find a 1% improvement? We're going to tweak the thumbnail on YouTube today. We're going to fix the lighting differently. We're going to change the temperature of the room when guests walk in. Israel Adesanya, the UFC champion, did my podcast last week. We researched the songs that make him cry. And as he walked in, Nipsey Hussle, Double Up, is playing because I know he cries when that song plays. And it's all these 1% marginal gains that have arrived at through fast experiments. My last point here is, because I worked in the social media industry, and the platforms literally update themselves about 9 times a week. The App Store updates, Facebook, Snapchat. We had this thing called Ever-Changing Landscape, but more interestingly, I had a team of usually 4 people, and we called it Move Fast and Make Things, which is kind of stolen from Facebook's Move Fast and Break Things. Very simple thesis. Every 2 weeks, we're going to come up with an experiment, and we're going to try and deliver it within 2 weeks. And some of the things that we delivered, one particular thing, changed the game for our business for 3 years, which was Amazon would say the exact same thing. Jeff Bezos, if you read about him, Kindle, Alexis, AWS, all of their big shifts that are responsible for the majority of their revenue came from experiments. My team, 2 weeks, come up with a thesis and get it to market. If people have 9 months, they take 9 months. Someone goes on annual leave if the group is too big. 4 people, we get it to market. And one of the things we did was called Likewise, a tool which allowed you to see if an influencer was faking their engagement. Took it to market in 2 weeks, and it probably fed our business in terms of revenue for 2.5 years. It made us many, many, many millions. So yeah, experimentation and success are highly correlated.
We discussed this earlier today. By very definition, when we talk about entrepreneurs, we're talking about risk takers, which I think each and every one of you are in your own field. But at what point do you stop taking risks or walk away from the risk?
I think.
Oh.
Am I on?
You're on.
Am I
Go
on?
for it. I'll pass it along. I think it's you, and then we're going to go down to Husni because he was about to jump in there.
I mean,
You want to go, don't you?
no, you go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
He wants to go.
No, go ahead.
Husni, come on, take the stage. Answer the question.
You don't stop taking risks. And even, I'm not Barack Obama. If I make a wrong decision, it's not going to cause a World War III or anything like that. But the decisions we make on a day-to-day basis in our businesses, even if they're wrong, you go back and you review them and you discuss it. So I've only set up the business, we're 6 years old. So trust me, in the last 6 years, we've done a ton of mistakes. And we will continue to do that, and you keep on learning. And even if you make that wrong decisions, you go back, review it, and you amend it, and you move forward. That's the beauty of being an entrepreneur and being able to do this. Is you take these risks, might take you a couple of steps back, but you learn from them and you keep moving forward.
You grew very organically from 2015. What innovations did work for you?
Innovations in terms of technology, we try to keep up on a day-to-day level, but the most important thing we try to do is we try to create this culture within the establishment where everyone felt like they belong. And it wasn't kind of like we weren't making it up. It was a genuine culture that we wanted to create this winning team, and everyone belongs in, and everything the company did on a day-to-day basis was basically for the benefit of the whoever was part of the establishment. I mean, the way we initially established the company was we wanted. I know I'm a salesperson, so I've always been into sales. I'm not a CEO. If there was a board on my company and I was running the company, I would have been demoted into a business development or sales a long time ago. But we actually hired a CEO in the company. He's somewhere here. I don't know if he's here. But so he's the group CEO of the company right now. But the way it started was we wanted to create a platform that will bring out the best in salespeople. So what kind of technology do they need? What kind of support do they need? What kind of marketing support do they need? What kind of mental support? Because sales is a very tough job, and they need to know that there's someone out there looking out for them and helping them out and walking them down to the sales centers and talking to clients with them. So it started off with that platform, and I built that platform for me. And as soon as I saw that the results were positive and beneficial, I started inviting people in. And before you know it, everyone was hearing about it, and everyone wanted to join, and everyone was coming to this platform so that they can bring out the best in their potential. And it worked for a lot of people. I mean, I have take pride in a lot of success stories within our office. People who came in with nothing and now own 4 or 5 properties around Dubai, driving fancy cars, wearing nice watches, imported stuff.
Can I come and work for you? I'm going to move it along actually to Lewis, because we've had an unprecedented couple of years. Did you have to adapt your business strategy model with the pandemic?
The pandemic, for a lot of people, I think when the pandemic happened in any business, anyone in the crowd now that's listening, whether you unless you were in an airline where it's completely stopped, every other industry seemed to explode. You look at whether that is, I'll give you an example. I knew my job is to invest in people, invest in time, invest in businesses. And as soon as the pandemic happened, the first thing I did is I went and invested in e-commerce businesses. Businesses like Amazon, for instance, a basic example. I looked at things like Deliveroo, and I was thinking, these guys are going to make a killing. It's just going to happen. And I looked at our business, what is it we could do different? And we talk about innovation. I think Steven said it before. I break things and I put them back together. It's what I do in business, and I lose money, but 1 out of 10 will work. And we've done some innovations where, we Uberize the real estate process in the UAE. So how you, with Deliveroo or Uber, where you would see your driver, and I love that. I will only order off Deliveroo, or never order off any other platform, and I order too much Deliveroo. I'm probably the #1 customer. But the reason I did that is I wanted to see the map. And in a estate agency, how often is it that the buyer, the agent's too late for the buyer, and they turn up on the viewing too late? So we created this system where you could have the flow of seeing the agent, where the work getting automatic feedback and digitalize the process. And that didn't work. And I was like, oh my God, this process, and it really pissed me off, to be honest. I thought I'd change the world. But that's what entrepreneurs go through. And then the basic things that we actually create off the back of it, we then create a viewing feedback. So in today's world, when you order food, no one wants to receive the call from the delivery driver that says, where are you, where's your house, I'm lost. No one wants that call. They want the notification. So in real estate terms, what we ended up creating off the back of that is viewing feedback. So viewing feedback now is done on a WhatsApp automation. So we don't even call you. We'll call you as a backup, but you will get a notification from Allsup and Allsup to say, this was your viewing feedback, this is your offer, we're going to call you for any interest. So we have continually evolved, and that goes into Facebook and digital ad spends, but in any business, this is a tip I give to any person that runs a business, you're going to make mistakes. But you said before about when do you stop investing. The minute you stop investing in marketing or trying new things is if you fast forward in 5 years, your business won't be there because the world is moving at a wild pace. And if you don't understand that, TikTok did not exist. I was talking to Steven off stage and we're talking about the kooks. Anyone that's in their 30s, late 20s will see kooks in Dubai recently. And there's loads of 18 to 20-year-olds in the stadium. And I said, what is 18, 20-year-olds in the stadium? Don't understand why they're here. They don't know who the kooks are. And what ended up happening is that TikTok had played one of their songs, and it became really popular, and it made the kooks viral from these 18, 20-year-olds that did not exist 5 or 6 years ago. So you have to accept that technology's there and work with it.
How, Stephen, and actually for Sean and Stephen, how do we keep up with that technology, and especially in the kind of realms that you're working in?
By the same principle, trying. For me, basically, the problem I faced back then was to be able to raise attention. So I know for any people I can inspire all over the world, like a guy like me who want to express with the ball, wanted to be a professional football player, or wanted to be a freestyle or street footballer, he will struggle with the same thing. So how I can use technology to actually help him to grow faster than what I did. So I want to use Web 3.0 to kind of like spot the talent. So yesterday I was in Brazil. I went to any street football court and I asked everybody who was around the São Paulo to come there, just show me your talent, do your tricks, play against each other, and anybody who's gonna win, you know, I'm gonna create your NFT, and I'm gonna try to make this NFT valuable in a play-to-earn game. So basically, that's how I see the new technology we will receive, how to use that, and try to see how I can use that for the new talent coming up. And that's the position now I have, because it took me 15 years to raise those followers, to raise those attention, to be here with you, to be able to talk, because back then I was just talking with the ball. Now I have this opportunity. So like how I can use now the technology for the others, and my goal is to spot talent, like raise the attention on them. It will take them a while maybe to get followers on internet, to learn the process and everything, so I can use like NFTs or blockchain to do that.
What's interesting is you're kind of learning as it's coming out. It's kind of, you are literally learning on your feet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like learn the tricks. To learn these tricks.
I mean, Basma, for you, you're in the business setup industry. Yeah. You know, how important and how do you go about empowering new businesses?
Okay. So that is actually how we have that 10 years experience. So it starts with the way that you need to give an idea on how you can start your business in the UAE, how you can even, like from outside the country, how you can even generate a business, especially on the time of COVID, by the way. It was very difficult for everyone to earn money. And I think that most probably like 50% of you guys were having half pay, right? It affects everyone. On that time, we had to come up with an idea to the people to say that, don't worry, there are so much of big scope of work where you can create an opportunity for yourself. We have so much of inquiries coming, okay, especially for e-commerce. I want to do that platform. I don't know how to start, especially, you know, UAE here, so much of regulations. Everything is pretty much like having a specific rule. You cannot just go ahead and start everything. So that's where we had the chance to empower people, to show kind of examples, how as business incorporation zone, how can we even sustain our business in order to give an opportunity for someone else to grow as well. Because if you are not sustaining your business, how can you be example for them? So this is where how we empower them with the experience, with support, with so much of webinars, seminars we have done. That's why they had the trust on us, and we have already covered that much of difficult times.
What strategies have been the sort of game changers? You know, we're very lucky where we are in the world, and Dubai is really establishing itself as a global business hub. You know, what things lend themselves very well to setting up a business here?
First thing, because of course, the diversity in nationalities, that is a very huge market. You don't have to limit yourself to something. The support of the government. We are very blessed here with the way that the government are trying to really expand, give us a support even for a new startup. You will have all the kind of support like on all the business owner. So these kind of examples that helped everyone here in the country to think about themselves and start their business and their journey.
Stephen, you mentioned earlier, and you quoted about the unicorns. I think it's 20 by 2031 that they hope to have 20 unicorns based here, which is unbelievable. You know, how do we empower that sphere and encourage that development?
I think it's, so you need to attract talent, finance, and then create dynamics which make this a great place to build those companies. And then you need to understand the industries of the future. And that's why I was, in our conversation earlier, I was so insistent on Dubai taking a really positive approach to Web3, because I've seen in the last 2 years, the companies that are going from zero to unicorn fastest are in that space. And I wanted to pick up on something that was said earlier on about how you create a culture of innovation. Sean was talking a bit about it on social media. It reminded me of what I was saying about social chain. One thing we did was we had this thing called ever-changing landscape. And if you want to be the type of person, and this is a personal thing, but also within your company, like everyone in this room has a philosophy for how they deal with change, right? Some of you will get really excited by it. Some of your companies will get really excited by it. Some of you will have a philosophy or a culture where when something changes, it kind of annoys you or you let it go past you. You think maybe with NFTs, you've thought to yourself, I don't really know what that is, right? And at Social Chain, what we did, we were so particular, because our strapline to our clients was keeping brands at the forefront of what is possible. So that meant that I have to keep 1,000 of my employees at the forefront of what is possible. So when they go in and see Apple that day, they can tell Apple exactly what changed on social media and exactly what the opportunities are today. So in ever-changing landscape, all of the company were incentivized with encouragement to post anytime anything changed on social media. Twitter have announced this button, Snapchat have announced this, and we would reward it and celebrate it and do a trophy on Friday for the person that would contributed the most. We also sent a text message on WhatsApp at 10 a.m. every morning telling all of our employees everything that had changed on social media in the last 24 hours. So what I'm saying here is you can create a culture in your organization where change is this exciting, rewarded, incentivized thing. And those are the companies that are able to twist and turn through an ever-changing landscape like social media. In 2015, 99% of our revenue came from Twitter. In 2018, 0% of our revenue came from Twitter, which shows how quickly our business had to change. Because in 2017, Twitter decided one day to delete all of our social media pages. But we had already changed as a business, so we didn't care. I remember being sat in a Jamaican restaurant when Ash Jones turned to me and said, Twitter have suspended all of our Twitter accounts because they don't like the TweetDeck system. And I swear on my mother's life, he said to me, it worked. He never needed to tell me what he meant by that. I knew what he meant by that. Our philosophy of just moving with the changing landscape had prevailed. And even now with the whole NFT Web3 thing, and even with TikTok, I had the moment where Steve Bartlett figured out that he was old. Because all the other social media platforms like Snapchat, I'd been using natively with my friends, so it's easy to understand them. TikTok comes around, I'm thinking, what the these kids dancing to music, forget that. Absolutely forget that. But then I have this other voice which says, Steve, this is how it happens. This is how you get left behind. This is, when you did talks for the last 7 years, people asked you that question on stage every year, what happens when you get old? And I always responded that I had this philosophy that I would not, and it's the same with NFTs and Web3. It pops up, I think, what's this scam? NFT, people selling JPEGs for what the? And then that voice comes in and says, Steve, this is how you get old. Force yourself to learn. Go on Twitter and follow 50 people that talk about it. Your timeline is your library. Every time I open the Twitter app now, I'm in the conversation. Change your YouTube algorithm. Your algorithm serves you more of what So I started watching NFT videos and blockchain videos, and then I started being served them. And the third one, which is the best piece of advice I could give, if you want to get into the whole NFT, understand the Web3 thing, is buy an NFT. Because you're going to go through the whole process. And I tell you what, I said it to a young lady in my team, 22 years old this week. I gathered them all around. I did the same talk. And I said, and some of them are here, I'm going to give you all £500 to buy an NFT. Oh my God, they all went online and picked their favorite NFT. But what happened is my whole team now understand it. And I swear on my mother's life, before I came up on stage, Holly, 22 years old in my team, texts me, Steve, I'm buying another one. She's hooked. Now I have a team that understand Web3, right? And it's a philosophy and a culture. Companies, and there's innovation is this bulldozer behind all of you. It's behind your business. It's coming for you personally. It's coming for the way you do business. And the risk is not changing. Reframe what the risk is. It's the same thing in my life. People say you're a risk taker because you dropped out of university. No. The risk, right? If you want to understand what the risk is, you have to understand the objective. The objective of my life was to be happy. So the risk was anything that compromised it. University, a dead-end 9-to-5 job. I'm not a risk taker. I'm a coward. The risk would have been staying. And people don't understand what the risk is in business all their lives. So you've got to get clear on what the risk actually is.
I'm going to ask, well, you've given that great advice there, but I'm going to ask each of our panel members coming down, starting with Basma, very quickly, if you can give in a sentence one bit of advice for anyone out there who's thinking about starting up in business.
The first and important thing that I would really advise, don't take the time. Don't think that you need to be having 100,000 dirhams to have a startup. Don't think when you will have money, you will start your business. It's never been the case. When you don't have the money, you need to start your business. That's where you will grow. That's where you will be an entrepreneur. That's where you will learn how the business works. I do think even Steven as well. I mean, you don't have that kind of millions when you start your business, right?
I wish.
Yeah. So same for everyone. So I do advise everybody to go ahead. Don't stress. Don't think much. Just have an idea on what exactly makes you unique and start it. Go for it. Don't hesitate. Hesitation is the worst thing in life.
Thank you. Husni?
I'm a bit old school on this. I like focusing. I like to have a straight vision or a goal in one industry or one segment of an industry where I can have my bread and butter. And once you reach a point, and I agree with her immediately, you don't take risks, you jump out, you take it. And the age we live in, everything's happening at super speed. So I believe that you need to find a service, find a product, find something you want to do, and focus on that first for a little while. Take it step by step, grow organically. Once you have, I love listening to Steven. He's talking about all these new technologies and all of that, but it takes a certain set of skills for you to be able to focus on so many things without spreading yourself thin. So have a goal, have an industry, have a service, whatever it is, focus on that. And once you get to a point where you have that kind of financial independence, where you can start investing and understanding other things. I mean, I ventured into the metaverse, I ventured into the NFT business, I ventured into all of that, but I do it on the side as an extra thing. I like to understand it. I hang out with younger guys or girls just to hang out and understand how they think, because we are getting old. And the way we see things is different, but in terms of my advice is have a set goal, focus on that, make that your bread and butter. Once you get that kind of extra financial independence and a little bit extra cash, you start trying to get into other stuff.
Lewis?
I think it's quite controversial, but not everyone should want to be a CEO. Not everyone should want to start a business. Honestly, for anyone even thinking about doing it, people look at the cars and the houses and they see people's Instagram lives and how good it is in the holidays, but it's a lonely job. It's a stressful job. It's a job where if everything goes right, someone else is the reason that it went right. If everything goes wrong, unfortunately, you're the CEO and you're the person the book starts with. I've been through it in the pandemic when you've got to offer people pay cuts, and it's a disgusting thing that you've got to sit down with people and have that conversation. I've never been through that, but having to close a business down and do all the horrible things that come with business. Owning a business, people have this opinion where it's sexy. And I can tell you now that probably there's a reason 6 or 7% of businesses survive over a 3-year period, because there's a certain type of person that you need to be. Why I set my business up originally, why I've set all my businesses up, there is a hole in the market. When we set up the real estate business in 2008, I knew that there was no meetings taking place, there was no structure, there was no KPIs. I'd come from an estate agency in the UK, and I'd seen how it was done correctly via the number one estate agency in the UK, and I come here and I was like, oh my God, there is a massive gap in this market. And now I see on Instagram, everyone wants to be a CEO or a model or Insta. I look at it and think, what are you doing it for? That's the question I'd ask every person. What is your purpose for saying, do you just want a business card out saying you want to be a CEO? Because if that's what you want to do, just print a business card and stay in your job. It's a lot easier to do it. There's a lot less stress involved in it. But if you get it right and you have a vision for doing it, it is the most rewarding thing you can do. But I can promise you, it is also when it goes wrong, and you have to take your stresses home. You take home your employees' problems with you. I am not a CEO. I'm a psychologist. I'm an accountant. There's problems. I deal with everything. I'm a marketer. You as a CEO have to have an answer to everything. So all I'd say to everybody who wants to start a business, have a reason for wanting to do it, and then follow it through. Because I'll tell you one thing we'll say, there's a lot of people in Dubai that are entrepreneurs. And there's no shame. I know multimillionaires that work in my business that are entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is someone that wants to be an entrepreneur within a business. And if you can get to that level where you can be satisfied with the money that you're making, you don't need to start a company. So estate agent is one of these jobs that we work in where you don't need to own a business. You can be a multimillionaire if money's your thing within a business. So have a think about what it is you want to achieve and then go with it.
Sean, can you follow that?
Yeah, for sure. No problem. I will freestyle. So the two things inspire me because, first of all, I think you need to find your why you do that. Sometimes it's not like really you want to get money. It's something behind that you want to prove to someone, or you're really attached by creating something. For me, it was like connecting with people. I didn't want to play football. I wanted to connect with people, but I was only able to play with the ball. That's what I understand. And my why is this. I'm here to connect with people. And I find my why. Whatever I do is for this reason. That's what I like. And the second thing is I will say you are not alone. I'm sure in the room or in the internet you will find someone who is exactly in the same position as you, in the same stage, and you can be inspired by this person. You can share the same problem. Because sometimes we want to achieve something, but we are so focused. We are in one room, and we don't look around. And what is the best things to grow, I think, is to get inspired and to listen to other people. But if you not talk to everybody because you want to achieve only in your only focus, you might forget to get the right advice, And so for me, it's like try to search someone who struggle also like you, who are like already past these things like what you want to achieve or working in the same industry, and get inspiration from him, and it will help you later on.
Well, enough questions from me. I'm going to throw them to you guys. And you've all been, well, not all of you, but a lot of you have been messaging in over the interval. Mark Jones, everyone.
Woo! Mark Jones.
He was dying to get on stage all day. So we've got a few questions here. And we have Daphne Lambert. We've got a shout out. We know where she is in the room. Company is Alam Holistic. So from what you know now, Steven, what do you wish you knew in your early startup years regarding the process of starting and scaling a company?
Really good question. So for me, I came to learn too late in business that the single biggest predictor of success is people. People. And it's such simple advice, but I think it's maybe the most important thing if you're going to be a successful entrepreneur. What is the definition of the word company? Group of people. If you had hired Steve Jobs and Steve Woz, so think about this. Every single thing your company is going to do is going to come from the mind of a human being. If you had managed to hire Steve Wozniak and Steve Jobs and create the culture for them to be autonomous and have purpose and mastery, you would have created a $2 to $3 trillion company. Everything your company creates comes from a person. I spent the first 3 years of my company because I was a young entrepreneur, and maybe because I was insecure about hiring people that were really inexperienced. How the hell do I lead them if they're double my age? I hired pretty much anybody, and I didn't really think it was important. I think I thought that the outcome of my company was going to be a direct correlation of myself and my own talent. And then in year 3, we hired someone called Katie Leeson, who had been in the same industry for about 20 years. Kind of goes back to what I said earlier about having a 16-year-old who understands TikTok working next to a 40-year-old that understands the operations of business if you want to own the future. Katie Leeson knew things I didn't know. She knew the unknown unknowns. And then the even more important thing is the next 10 people that Katie Leeson hired, 8 of them became 8 of my best people in 700 employees. Great people hire great people. People who aren't good hire people like themselves. I can point at one guy in my company, who I won't name, who was really bad. And we figured out in hindsight that when he got fired, in fact, we'd fired everybody he had hired. And Katie Leeson, she was this incredibly experienced person. Pretty much everyone she hired became the best people in my company. And when the Katie Leeson era began, my life as the CEO that was running around trying to put fires out all the time, I said to my business partner one day, we've reached the promised land. Because I genuinely no longer needed to go to the office for the company to grow. And that ultimately is the objective as an entrepreneur. You want to create something that no longer really needs you. And this is why I ended up moving to New York for 3 years, because I was like, I'm going to go and create the business again. The whole of the European business is going to grow whether I die or not, because of these unbelievable people. And I reflect on that. And now in all of my companies, in Flight Story, which we've launched, and in Third Web, which I talked about earlier, I have this philosophy now. We hire top-down predominantly, and the team know that they have to make the pitch to me that the person we're about to hire could be in the best in the world. So now they don't even bring me a hire because they know the first thing I'm going to say is there a chance that this person is the best in the world? So, and it's changed the culture of our hiring. You are a recruitment company. I don't care what industry you're in, you're a recruitment company. As the CEO, as the founder, you are a recruitment company. It's also what Steve Jobs said. He said, my job is to hire the best people in the world and let them tell me what to do. And I learned that too late in business, but I'm never going to make that mistake again.
Sam Green is sat somewhere up the back.
Thank you. That is my team.
That's yeah.
Good people.
Next question is, Sam Green is sitting somewhere up the top at the back, but she would like to know, where do you even start when it comes to social media when you're setting up a new business at the same time?
Is it for me?
It is for you.
One piece of advice I'd give you is to not fall into the trap of believing that you need to be on every platform, because you're going to probably spread yourself way too thin and do a bad job. There's usually a few breakthrough platforms you need. Now, if I'm Sean and I'm a football freestyler, right now, I'm probably, and I've only got 24 hours in a day, I'm probably going to go all in right now on TikTok, the fastest growing platform, visual. It's got that 5-second wow factor to it, where if he can make me go wow within the first 5 seconds, the video is going to do exceptionally well. He's doing something which is inherently viral. So it's his discipline, his profession, his talent in 2022 is TikTok. I wouldn't mess around with trying to figure out Twitter right now, and I'd build such a big base on TikTok if I was him that I could then use that. How many followers you got on TikTok? 7 million. 7 million. Unbelievable. Shout me out. Of course he has. 7 million. I would then use that base of 7 million to expand out onto other platforms. I'd take the TikToks and upload them as Reels, which is a brand new medium which the Instagram algorithm is favoring significantly, and then I'd build my Instagram. And then I've got 2 platforms. How many are you? Reels are banging for you, right?
Yeah, same like TikTok. And sometimes I compare both, so I post the same video on both, and
Exactly.
I see how it reacts, and so after I just change
Adjust
some
slightly.
tweaks,
Yeah.
like based on that.
They require slightly on. And then honestly, an insight into my Instagram. I've got 1.8 million Instagram followers now. My first 1,000 posts, I got 10,000 followers, right? The next 900 posts, I got about 100,000 followers. And then when carousels came to Instagram, in 10 posts, again, this goes back to experimentation. When a new feature drops, the platform will incentivize you with extra reach if you use it. Right now, they're doing that with Reels. Videos performing worse than Reels, typically. I did carousels the day they came out. I gained 300,000 followers from 10 posts. I'd been doing it for years. 10 posts gave me 300,000 followers. And when I look at Casey Neistat, big YouTubers, Lewis House, who's talking in Dubai tomorrow, it's all the same thing. It's super fast, super slow, then fast, like a hockey stick. So consistency, show up for the next 5 years and tell yourself, I'm going to post every single day on this platform that my profession, skill, or talent is suited for. Yeah.
I also think, by the way, you've got to hit your demographic. So when I look at my business, and this is for anybody that's looking to advertise on social media, you've got to look at who you are. So for instance, in property, me going on TikTok right now, the cost per lead is not really worth the amount of money I'm going to spend. If you look at a demographic, my mum is on Facebook. She's not on Instagram. Most of your mums will be on Facebook. Your nans are on Facebook. The demographic for me, who buys a property, is between 30 and 55 years old. Those people are Facebook users. So where my time goes, and I know immediately, my research team says, this is the age gut, and then we pull the data for nationality, age, everything else, and we will target our Facebook adverts. And this is really just to knock onto what we've been talking about. Anyone in this room now, if you all leave this room and you write down your phone number and you write down your email address, you will have an advert from me tomorrow. When you open your phone, there will be an advert. Any single person can do an advert to gain a client or whatever it may be, but your job is to figure out who that demographic is, whether that's nationality, location. Just to go a little bit for anyone that's not in depth, you can drop something called a geolocation. Some people know what it is, who knows what Facebook is, but we can create an advert for someone dropped on a pin within this location, in the Opera House, within 1 kilometre, and we can advertise this thing's happening here now.
I'll probably have them called.
Probably will, yeah. So anyone can do it, but I think the message that I think Steven wants to get across, well, I want to get across is, you have to be willing to learn it. You have to be willing to learn what's going on Facebook and YouTube and demographics.
Yeah, and I just can't, there's so many things about social media that I could genuinely sit here for days telling you every little thing about every platform, about how the LinkedIn algorithm works. But bear in mind, in 3 months, it's all going to be different. A lot of it is anyway. The platforms are going to change. So you have to create a culture of experimentation where every single day you're keeping yourself there. You're getting the feedback and you're adapting accordingly. This is what I say to these, I speak at these like big brands and stuff. I tell them all the secrets today, and at the end of my talk, I go, by the way, in 6 months' time, everything I've just told you is not going to work. So that means the long-lasting thing is the philosophy that you'll have yourself of saying, I'm going to post every single day, and I'm going to look at the analytics, I'm going to make changes, and I'm going to post again the next day. That's what I do. That's how I know about social media. And so that's the only long-term strategy to be good at social media.
Well, we've got another question that has Lewis's name all over it, actually. Sylvia Aldawi would like to know, what's the secret sauce for work-life balance?
Oh, wow. Secret sauce.
Bit of saucy question.
Hello, Sylv, wherever you are.
She's at
Where
the
is
front,
she?
second row.
Hi, Sylv. Secret sauce. Okay, honestly, there is no such thing. There is no such thing as a work-life balance, especially with everybody having their phones in their hands 24/7. I don't know if anybody else has this concept, but when I wake up in the morning, I don't even say hello to my wife first. I check my emails and I go on Daily Mail. I'm terrible. And I think a lot of people have that concept that you can no longer detach work from personal. Now, obviously, I have a routine. I'll try and get over my kids' bath time. I'll spend an hour with my wife, a couple hours, we'll have dinner together. But past that, even if I'm watching a movie, there is a response that's needed. The world is so fast moving now. You can order your food quick, you can send emails quickly. Just to understand how quick the world's changed from when I started, when I was working in property, this is what used to happen. A property would come online, we would print the details off. What we would do then is we would get them and we would put them in a franking machine and then we'd post them. We'd wait for someone to call us 5 days later once it's gone in first class mail. Today's world, the minute, a second it's live, a WhatsApp and email goes out. So as the world's changed, in 1990, 2000, you probably could switch off. But if anyone wants to be involved in a business that is going to financially grow yourself, you have to accept that there is no work-life balance, and the people that you work with and live with have to understand that as well. My wife is very understanding with that when we're watching movies.
Well, listen, we are going to have to wrap it up in a second, but final words from Steven. This is from Ali Word, who works for Adapt. Is there anything different about the marketing landscape in 2022 that you think is essential to consider?
Interesting. I was going to say everything, but then I thought I'd try and be useful. One of the big macro shifts that's taking place now, which many of you would have seen, is this shift from what we used to call, I guess, social media to what we now call maybe like dark social. What I mean is like Discord, Telegram. There's been this consumer shift. There's been this broader society shift where we've started to care a lot about privacy and data and being hacked. And we've also started to care a lot more about anonymity, to being anonymous online. So one of the big things, like the conversations I'm having with my team now, isn't, shall we launch an Instagram page? It's, we need to find someone that's an expert on Discord and build a Discord community. Comms are becoming decentralized, they're becoming private, and they're becoming anonymous. We have a huge, big Telegram community, is anyone in the Telegram community? Yes!
It's one of the unicorns from the UAE.
Is it? Exactly. And it's blowing up.
It was established in the UAE.
Yeah, people tell me the founders are out here.
The Russians.
We won't talk about Russia. Moving very swiftly on.
Oh, we're ending on a high note here.
Discord, unbelievable. I'm now telling my team, I've hired someone last week to build a Discord channel. The world went direct to consumer, and that became really interesting in terms of products. It's now going direct to consumer in terms of comms. SMS, email, Telegram, Discord, these are the social platforms I value. Facebook, I don't use anymore. I've got 700,000 followers there. I don't even post on it. Instagram, I'm still using because the engagement's kind of good. TikTok are going to screw us soon because they're a fairly new platform. So what they do is when they put more ads into the platform, there's less inventory for you, so your reach goes down. Our reach on Facebook went down 50% a year for 6 years in a row. So I want to own the relationship with my follower, because if I spend 10 years building up a following on Instagram or on LinkedIn, and then they reduce it 50% a year, it's like inflation on your following. So direct-to-consumer comms, Discord, Telegram, email, SMS, as if a social media CEO is saying that in 2020. SMS, these are the platforms of the future, and that's where I'd be investing my money.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for being part of this evening with us and joining us. Thank you to our panel, Motivate Talent, the Dubai Opera House, and once again, put your hands together for Steven Bartlett.
Thank you. Very kind. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.